Good day. What could I say to be of any value to you? Why you should invest any time whatsoever in anything I have to say. We live in a world where there are a lot of voices saying all sorts of things. So, why should you listen to anything I have to say? Well, maybe one of the reasons why you should listen to what I have to say is I have some knowledge that could prove to be of benefit to you. Now, there's a lot of things that I could talk about. I could talk about spiritual things. I could talk about various lessons that I've learned throughout the course of my 65 years of life. But given what I see today in society, I think most people don't really care about what someone else has to say. Why should they? Just another voice in a sea of voices, right? Maybe one of the things that might help you understand, and I know many of you have had way bigger experiences than I have, but I've had a few experiences of my own. I've had experiences which you don't commonly find yourself. I've had a few brushes with death. I've had encounters with situations that could have led to dire consequences, let's put it that way. So,
with the marks of some inner
maybe I'm fortunate
crucifixion
to have had the experiences that I've had.
and woe deep in his face.
And everybody is undoubtedly chock full of experiences. So that's my point. Why should you listen to anything I have to say about anything?
Oh, they are thinking of shipping.
And maybe I can't give you a good reason. Because you don't have to. You don't have to listen to anything I have to say about anything.
I do not.
You're completely free to do whatever you want to do.
All visible objects are but as pasteboard
You know, I could say that maybe the least of the things that you need is to sit there and listen to some old guy trying to tell you things that you don't want to hear anyway. And just screw that, screw that. Why should I care?
Seen Ahab, a captain of the ship.
But if you take that approach,
You want to know what whaling is, then you
If
know
that's
by
your
clapping an eye
approach.
on Captain Ahab.
and you move
You see
on,
a man torn apart from Crown
well, you're going to
Hill.
go somewhere else and you're going to listen to someone at some point, right? You're not going to escape it. If you're hooked into the 20th century and you have a phone or a computer and you get on the internet and you're looking for content, you're going to end up listening to someone, right? Whether you like it or not. Now, let's say you're a young guy and you like to motocross, right? Well, I guarantee you're going to find all sorts of channels of young guys motocrossing, doing wheelies, incredible stunts that make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, right? And that's pretty cool. Yeah, I get it. That's enjoyable. Absolutely.
His looks tell more than any churchyard sermon about the mortality
Yeah,
of
okay,
man.
so that's something you might look at. Maybe you're a gal and you like sewing, and there's all sorts of sewing.
You're going aboard, Jimmy?
There's always a video out
Have you
there
signed to sail the feet?
in which you can find what you want, right? And they're everywhere. You can spend all day looking at all those videos of all the things you want to see, right? And you want to hear. They're everywhere.
I have, lad, I have.
So, maybe one of the reasons why you want to listen could be it's because it's what you don't want to hear. Sometimes the things that we need most are things that we don't want to hear. So it's not that you have to listen.
Why are you wearing that long thing?
But should you listen? Now that's a question. Should you listen to anything I have to say at all? Now, if you can answer that question for yourself, you'll come up with an answer.
Hey, who knows? Not many, I guess.
What are some of the reasons why you like to watch the videos that you like? One of the reasons why you like to watch the videos that you like to watch is because it's something that interests you. And that would make sense, and there's nothing wrong with that. And being engaged in things that you're interested in is a good thing. It's a quality activity. But is it not fair to say that life does not always permit one to do everything that they would like to do
What goes it? Sign.
as often as they'd like to do it? I mean, I'd like to be 30 years younger, but I'm not. And maybe some of you out there would like to be, much younger than you are. Others might actually like to be older than they are. If you're a young fella, I remember when I was young, I couldn't wait to turn 18 or 19.
I want to see what Whalen is like.
I went to Arizona. And I remember the first time I could go into a bar and buy a beer. Boy, oh boy, what a treat that was. I couldn't wait. I was like counting down the days. I'm only a week away, and I'll be able to go into that bar and get myself a beer.
On such a day, I struck
So,
my first wave.
What's that got to do with anything? Well, we were talking about what we'd like to do, right? What we'd like versus what we don't like. So, if you're 18 and you're on the precipice of turning 19, and if the law is still that way in Arizona, you're counting down the days until you can go in there and get that doggone beer you've been wanting to be able to go buy, right? Young fella. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. See how we have a shared experience right off the bat? Some of you will. Maybe others not. I mean, we're not all the same, right? We're not all going to have the same experiences. So one of the reasons why you listen to people, especially perhaps somebody you don't want to listen to, is for the information that you don't even want to hear in the first place. That's the hard information to find. You can find no end to whatever you want to see. That's easy. You can find that all day long, all the stuff you want to see. Whether or not you need it or not, you can find it. You can find anything you want nowadays, right? So, one of the reasons why you might consider listening to some of the things that I would like to relate to you is because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
I know all about him being crippled by a whale.
Now, I'm going to try to make these videos as entertaining as I can. And as painless as possible. Maybe something you might get a kick out of this. Remember the movie The Perfect Storm? When they were in the bar. And they were joshing around with that old guy sitting at the bar. And they said, oh, I don't know what his name was, Quincy or whatever his name was. You're full of shit, And the old man shook his head and said, yeah, I am. What do you think that meant? Do you know what that meant? Now, a young and inexperienced person will think that's funny. Nope, they'll think, the old man's full of shit. Let's move on. Forget it. What's he got, right? But you know what the shit is? It's all the shit that's hit the fan in his life. That's what he's full of. All the experiences and the goings-ons that happen throughout the course of your life. That jump on the motocross bike that went bad and stuck you in the hospital for 2 weeks. That's some shit, right? That's what that is. It's being full of shit. It's not a superficial thing where, oh man, you're just full of shit, and they move on, right? You don't even think about it. People don't even think about what that is. That's very fitting. No doubt that old guy in that movie had been a fisherman his whole life and been in more storms out in the ocean than you can shake a stick at. You know what it's like to be in a storm in the ocean?
You smell land where there be no
Where
land.
death is imminent. You know what the fishermen go through out there? You're surrounded by death. That's what he meant. That I'm full of shit. And many of you out there are full of shit too, aren't you? So, isn't it our responsibility as old geezers to share the shit with some of this newer generation? So they know, right? Because if we don't do it, they're gonna learn it one way or the other. And a lot of them aren't gonna make it. They're gonna learn the hard way. You know, you can find that. You can find that on the internet. You know, young people are all busted up so bad, they're gonna spend the rest of their life in a paraplegic state. Right? And I don't think anybody would wish that on another person, would you? Yeah, it's unfortunate. Maybe we didn't share enough shit with that young fella. Help him tone down just a wee bit on some of the extreme nature. Mainly, for now. At some point in the future, these videos are going to change. And then I'll try to make them, I don't know what I'm going to do with this channel, but right now, I'd like to think that I can impart something onto someone to be of some value to them. That's why you should watch. Give you something that'll benefit you. It's not going to benefit me. I'm not. But I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing this in hopes that I can impart something to you of value for you. It doesn't do me anything. I've made it. At least I've got to 65. Right? Maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe I'm stupid to think that I can say anything that anybody wants to listen to at all.